Hello there guys, yeah, how are we doing today guys? Today's video is going to be yet another discussion video. Today I kind of want to do this one just based off of my own kind of thoughts really. This wasn't really anything I kind of saw or kind of jogged me towards it. I just kind of wanted to talk about this one myself and something I just think does need to be touched upon really, or something that just needs to be spoke about because, I don't know, I know a lot of people like Billy and I know that a lot of people they like to play against him, but I just don't really feel like he's any kind of he's not in much conversation really as far as the DVD community is concerned, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. So first I just want to obviously praise Billy for the fact that he is easily the most fun killer you can play against in DBD by a long shot, really. When you compare all the other killers and their fun factor, it doesn't quite come as close to any other killer as it does Hillbilly. He is an extremely fun killer to play against survivor-wise because of its potential for obviously good plays and the fact that it's very rewarding for Billies who put a lot of time into the Billy to actually like get curves and have good games. It doesn't just like come to you. It's a very developed and a very much you know if you're playing against a good Billy. So I honestly, it's one of these things where it's just great to see a killer who isn't insanely strong, but at the same time is good in and absolutely amazing in the right hands. But you have to put in that time for it. So obviously the thing with Billy is that he does have a chainsaw. So he's a one-hit killer. But the way his chainsaw works is so rewarding to his kit, which is why he is so much fun to play against. Because when you get downed by a Billy, like whether it's the chainsaw or it's like a loop and he's played well around that, you can't really be mad at that. Like they've played well, they've outplayed you, or they've just done well in that loop. They've managed to get you down with a chainsaw. Fair play to you, it's not like any other killer really where you kind of feel like, I don't know, you've been a bit cheesed by their ability, or you feel like you've kind of just been targeted. So say for example Michael's tier 3, or for example Oni's ability as well, where potentially the killer just chooses to kill you and one hit you. Billy on the other hand actually uses this at any disposal when he's not overheated, and he can it's a gamble. Like it's not like he's going to be able to get you down straight away, especially if you get to like good loops, and there's a lot of loops in Dead by Daylight where Billy does struggle quite a lot, to be fair. There's only like say a few where he can really get some nice curves in. For the most part they are extremely difficult, and curving is not an easy task anyway. So some of these loops where people do curve, like it's impressive as hell, and like you've really got to respect Billy players, people who put in a lot of time for it. So it's just one of these things where there needs to be more killers like this. There needs to be more killers that aren't insanely meta, but they are rewarding if you put enough time into it. So then when you juggle the two, you get a fun killer that you play against when you know that they've actually put a lot of time and effort into that killer and they've mastered that killer. You look at, say, for example, Nurse. Now, my opinion on Nurse is that I don't find her that impressive. She's an extremely strong killer. You don't need to put much time into her to get good on her. She's easily the strongest killer in this game besides Spirit. Spirit, on the other hand, you don't really need to put as much time into to master. Billy, on the other hand, I feel like you need to put a lot of time into master him, and he's not even that good if you master him. You will sometimes have bad games, and sometimes survivors will just play good around your chainsaws. You simply have to melee. You have to be the Millie Billy. So it's just one of these things where I'd just like to kind of discuss, like, with obviously you guys, what you think, whether you think, there needs to be more killers like this, and if you agree with me, if you don't, because, I don't know, Billy is a great addition to DBD, and obviously he's been one of the OG killers since the start, and ever since his nerf, he doesn't really get that much love anymore, unfortunately. Since the overheat mechanic came in, he doesn't get too much love now, and it's sad to see, because I love Billy games so damn much. They are by far the fun experience that I love within Dead by Daylight, besides other killers. Like, if you were to compare any other killer to me, Billy takes the cake every time as far as fun games are concerned, and I just don't think like he gets talked about much. He's not much of the topic of conversation, and I think it's potentially start to do with the fact that no one really plays him, and he just doesn't really get too much talked about, because I think of his high skill ceiling as well. I think a lot of people are quite scared to play Billy. I don't think it's very much the fact that people people will play him because they will, but they're just scared to then play him in like red ranks, or they're like to continue playing Billy because of how hard he can be to master, and just how some of your games can be very rough. When obviously you have killers like Spirit and Nurse at your disposal, of course you're going to want to play them if you're going to want good games. But I do believe that behavior needs to look into Billy and try and make more killers like that. Try and make more killers where they have an extremely fun factor for both sides. Because even if you lose as Billy, even if you have a bad game, you don't get entity displays or whatever happens, as long as you had that fun game, as long as you got some nice curves, as long as you had good chasers and it was all good, like, who cares? You had fun, you done what you did, and unfortunately you lost. You're not exactly playing the strongest killer anyway. It's not really a concern when you're having fun. And it's the same with the survivors as well. If they get beat by a Billy, I don't really see that as being... I couldn't be angry at that. Like, unless, obviously, the Billy done something like camp, because, again, Billy is a bit like Bubba, where he can camp extremely well. You don't really get many Billies that do that anyway, because most of the people who play Billy are the people who have actually mastered them or play them a fair amount. I never really see Billies at red rank that aren't very good anymore. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of ideas I'd say for a killer with the same kind of ability as Billy, but I just feel like he is an extremely fun killer because he rewards a lot of risky plays, but he also rewards a lot of mastery to him, and I respect that a lot, because you get killers that you can just play and they're pretty strong from the get-go. Billy is pretty impressive to see at high ranks because of obviously the kind of skill ceiling to him, and he's just an extremely fun killer. Like, it requires a lot from the killer, but it also requires a lot from the players, And I like how you can play around the pallets, you can play around the windows with Billy, because he has to make a choice, obviously. Does he walk through the pallet? And most of the time, Billies will run Enduring or Bamboozle as well, so it kind of favours them to walk through a lot of pallets, and obviously don't really try and block off windows as much as they can. But I don't know what they'd do. I just feel like this needed to be spoke about. I needed to kind of praise Billy a little bit, and just kind of see if anyone had any ideas to what kind of killers we could see like this, or what killers we could see changed and actually have a little bit more of a skill ceiling / fun factor to it. Because, like I said, there's just not enough killers in this game for me that really prove the mastery of a killer quite like Billy, because of its fun factor that comes into it. Like, when you see a Spirit that's mastered, when you see a Nurse that's mastered, when you see a Blight that's mastered, I don't really find that nearly as impressive as, say, a Billy or a Trapper, because they're killers that aren't really that strong anyway. So then when they're mastered and they're actually nailed down to a good player who knows what they're doing and knows the good choices and just has basically every single corner covered, I like that, and I rate that a lot. So hopefully they decide to do something like this in the future and actually bring more killers like this, and hopefully make Billy a little bit stronger as well. I haven't really spoke about the kind of strength of Billy too much, but other than the fact that he, I've said he's a bit weak, he can be, and he can be strong, but he's probably a B, C tier killer. He's not great, and unfortunately the overheat mechanic really did kill his mark a little bit, because he was up there with the big dogs, and then when the overheat mechanic came, he kind of just lost his traction quite a lot. And it's a shame, because he doesn't deserve it at all. I feel like he's definitely one of the well-built characters in this game. Probably one of the best killers they've actually made, as far as their ability and everything. So, guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me down below what you'd like to see me talk about next. And without further ado, guys, I will catch you in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.